Hello everyone, my name is Deke James. I'm with the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission and I'm the hunting specialist for our state. We've been creating a series of outdoor videos, and these that I'm going to be talking about are related to hunting. And this one here in particular today is about the equipment I use kind of after I get set up in my tree stand, what I take with me. A lot of it, you know, some of the items are needed, but a lot of them are nice because I'm all about comfort. And when I get up in a tree stand, or whether I'm in a tree stand or on the ground, I want to be there all day. If it's during the breeding season of the year, especially for deer, or even during turkey season, I want to stay out as much as I can. I just enjoy being outdoors. So this equipment is going to cover that. I'm going to move along. It's not everybody does this type of hunting. You can be very, very basic. You don't need a lot of stuff, but I tend to carry some extra things. So to begin with, I have what's referred to as a going in kit, and that's because I go in with a certain clothing items on and then I change my clothes, and I also have some night before prep. Now you don't need any special products. I will typically use like a non-scent shampoo, and they even make them. There's you know, standard ones you can buy on the shelf. I don't want any fragrances. I don't want any deodorants. Deer have very good noses, far superior as ours, so even though we can't eliminate all of our human scent, I like to tone it down a little bit. Also soaps. A lot of soaps are deodorant soaps. They have strong smells, cover scents. I want something very neutral, or even something that smells like dirt. And there are products out there that are dirt scented. Do you need them? No, they're nice. With my going in kit, it doesn't matter what the temperature is, and I also hunt a lot upstate. It could be 30 degrees, it could be 20s. I will have one usually coverall, cotton twill camo outerwear. And that's because even though it's cold when I get out of the vehicle, and of course in North Carolina it's mostly warm, so you don't need to worry about that, that's all I want, because that's going to be wet when I get where I'm going. Some people will have access to private land. They can step out of the house only a few minutes. They don't need a going in kit, but I do, because it may be a mile and a half to get to my tree stand carrying equipment, and it's easy to get sweated. I will have that on. I will also have a pair of socks that I will change. And what I do is typically like a polypropylene liner, and then probably like a wool or an acrylic sock that I will, before I even put my foot into my boots, I will take some type of bag, plastic bag, put the socks on, and put my foot into that bag with them socks on before I put it in my boot. Why do I do that? Our feet sweat even more sometimes than our hands do, and we will transfer that sweat into our boot, and then when we're changing into all new clothes, you've got that human scent in there built up. Again, can you eliminate all of it? No, but I like to do that, and I've been doing it for a long time. And then any of these wet clothes, once I get there, they will also go in a larger trash bag, seal them up, and I put them in my backpacks, which we'll discuss in a moment. Again, to try to eliminate some of that human scent. I will also have this bag and a GPS. Wherever I go, it's usually a distance away. I want to get in and I want to get out. And I don't like to put a lot of that like ribbon people would put on trees and show where your hunting spot is, or even leaving trash in the woods. I may have a couple of these little bright tacks that I have here that I'll show you that I use, but a GPS will get me in and out, and it's usually in that bag. The other things in that bag is some tissue, because you never know, you may have to go on the way in, and I will carry it. Oh yeah, these are those tacks right there. They will be typically around my tree stand, that as my GPS tells me where to go, I can see them. They're reflective tacks, and they leave far less debris than, again, like the flagging. I will also have usually just a regular orange hat, or say if it's colder, a knit hat with like a neck gaiter. If the temperatures are real cold, gives me a little bit more extra warmth. It is always good to wear orange, and it is required for deer hunting with firearms in North Carolina. And wherever you go, whatever state, you got to make sure what the laws are there. Once I get there, if I'm archery hunting, and once I'm set up, I'll take it off. But it's always a good practice to wear orange just to be safe. I like headlamps, although I do carry an extra flashlight. Back in the day, I would carry a flashlight, but you're not hands-free when you're going in these. Headlamps are great. Get them relatively inexpensive. They provide a good beam, and they last a long time now with the LED bulbs and stuff. If it's real cold, I'll have a more insulated glove, because your hands can get pretty cool even when you're walking, or something like a very light knit if it's extra warm. but that way, you know, you have something on your hands. Also carry a hanky for if I'm sweating on the way in, or, you know, if your nose gets itchy. And I'll carry at least a little bottle of water with the going in kit. Again, that is the going in kit. Those things I won't be using. They will be wrapped up and thrown in my backpack. So getting over to that, this will typically, there's a lot of different packs out there. You find one that suits you. There's a lot that aren't expensive. I will have all my gear in here, and when I am changing clothes, no matter what the temperature is, I'm totally stripping down, and I'll typically stand on this pad that I've had for a long time. This one's for my feet. This one's for me to sit down if I need to, so I can change into all fresh clothes. Before I do that, I like unscented baby wipes. Again, you can't remove all your human scent, but it does freshen you up a little bit. And for me, it's typically dark when I get to that spot. So that headlamp, I can see what I'm doing, make sure I know where my stuff is. I'm getting set up to get up into my tree stand. Then I'll usually use some type of a scent killer deodorant. Again, anything even neutral, a plain, you don't need a special hunting product, something that doesn't have those fragrances that can alarm deer. So once I do get there, I do that for the freshen up, then I'm ready to start putting my base layers on. Yes, you don't need camo underwear, but you know, it's kind of like a confidence thing. If you feel good about it, you're going to wear it. I also have a base layer top and a base layer bottom as well, which is also in camo. When I'm putting this on in those pieces, and of course I'm trying to move fast, but not too fast so I forget anything. I'll go back to typically a wool sock and also a polypropylene base layer that, yes, for me has to be camo. And as you remember, now there's no transfer of the sweat in this boot, so I can be able to put my boots on without them being wet. Depending on the time of the year, I've already needed boots with 2,000 grams of Thinsulate. If it's 20 degrees, there's a 20, 30 mile an hour wind, but in most cases in North Carolina, you're going not to encounter that, but you'll find out how much insulation you need based on how much your feet are sweating. And if it's warm, you don't even need insulation in sometimes. A variety of boots. After I do that, then I'm starting to throw on my top layers. I like fleece. Again, there's a lot of things out there. You can still buy inexpensive cotton, but fleece is very light and very warm. So I'll typically have a fleece pair of pants and a top. And since I already have the base layer on, maybe an extra vest like this of fleece, and it's all day long without the bulk. This little thing actually goes on my tree stand, and you'll see that during a tree stand video. I slide this over the top of my tree stand, the top part that I sit in, and it becomes a little table where I can put items in and be very comfortable up there. I have my phone there, I have my water there, I have my coffee there, I have my food there. So I'm all about comfort, because I may be in a tree stand for 13 hours, from before light to after dark, but no shooting outside the shooting hours. So I also, depending on the temperatures, this is a mitt that I will have the hand warmers in it. The chemical hand warmers are another. It's kind of nice. If it gets a little bit cold, you can put your hands in there. Again, in most cases, you don't need it. A fleece gaiter. Those are really nice too if it's cool. Again, we're talking about sitting all day, 13 hours in a tree stand. Do you have to? No. But when I'm out there, especially during the breeding season, I want to stay in the tree stand as long as I can. I will typically have some different kind of gloves. Those with the finger tab that folds up, so I like dexterity of being able to put my glove on and have some fingers to use, but I also like it if it gets cold and you have the little hand warmer packs, you can sneak it in there like that and it's like a pair of mittens, but with easy access to your fingers. If it's not too cold, I'll go with like a wool, almost like a military glove with the fingertips cut off, also very warm, or even an acrylic like this. I also, during that time of the year, along with my hats, and I will sometimes wear an orange hat, but again in archery season, you can take it off and have camo. Don't need to worry so much about deer. They don't see orange, they see kind of gray, so it's not something that you need to be worried about, but where legal, I will wear this type of a knit cap camo, and then I'll also use this face mask that will hide up some of my face, and you'd be surprised how well it also cuts down on the breeze once you figure out how to put it on. Then you can look out of it. If it's a little breezy on your ears and stuff, again, it's blocking up that human outline. You're all camo. It's kind of good. And of course, That's a cap I have on now. Camo hanky, yes, you don't need it, but you always have it just in case your nose is running. Maybe you need to wipe your hands off. So then we get to some nitty gritty stuff. That's the range finder. If I'm archery hunting, I always want to know the distance to that deer. And prior to the season, you need to practice with that archery equipment, you know, and typically when I get up in the tree, I'll take this just as it's getting light before I have a shot, and I'll start ranging. Like, okay, that tree is 10, that rock is 15, that stump is 30, and if I'm only confident to shoot at 30 yards, I will not shoot outside of that zone of fire. I'll wait until that deer comes into that point. Very good tool for archery hunting. Also always have my phone. That's within this case, and it's just, I've been doing this for a long time. I'll have my hunting license within this pack, and in this case it's a Pennsylvania license, my home state. I'll have an emergency whistle just in case I need it if I got in trouble. There's a knife in there and all the other items I need. I also have a pair of binoculars. I want to see what's coming from a distance out, you know, so I'm ready to take that shot when it does come in. I will sometimes, in states that are legal, use the urine-based lures or cover scents. A lot of states are restricting this now due to health issues with deer, but for the most part, you want to make sure what the law is before you use any of that. And I brought it because I'll typically use it in PA. You can never carry enough water, but I will carry not only that going-in kit small bottle, but also this full. And I will also have within this bag that I've been carrying a long time, this will have my coffee in a thermos. There's nothing better than about 8:30 in the morning when you pull out that hot dark roast. And then if you have something like a pumpkin scone or something like that, it's really good. Again, all about comfort. In my food bag, I might have a sandwich, some nuts, some peanuts, some different kind of mixed nuts, also protein bars. Again, 12 hours in the stand, you're going to get hungry. Set that to the side. I will also have a deer drag when I get down out of the tree. If I've harvested a deer, this is just a little loop, some rope on it that you can help to pull that deer out. Where it's convenient, you might have an ATV. You might be able to drive close to the spot. Again, I'm typically 1.5 miles back, so I have a distance to get a deer out. These are just a couple, like say I showed you that other net that I had on. These are some lighter nets if it's really warm, put over your head, and some without the holes, so that if the mosquitoes are bothering you, it keeps them at bay, even though you can use the chemical repellents. These are the hand warmers for that muff. Again, usually only if it's cool I need them. An extra flashlight. This is the cleanup kit if I harvest a deer. It has more unscented baby wipes, rubber gloves, always good to use rubber gloves when you've harvested a deer, when you're in there field dressing it, and some hand sanitizer. A knife. I'll also have a journal. I've been writing in these for many years. I have about 5 or 6 of these filled, just about what's going on, what I've seen, whether I've harvested a deer, so it's a really neat thing, really neat keepsake. That's some scent away stuff. You don't really need it. You're wiping yourself down with the unscented baby wipes. Sometimes the confidence level, spray some stuff that neutralizes the odor helps. One of the things that's nice being in the tree stand though is that you're high up, and I typically hunt ridge tops, so it's most of that scent is blowing well up over as those deer are approaching me. I will also have this little kit that has chapstick, some vitamins that I take during the day, and a couple of cough drops just in case you get a scratchy throat. Nothing worse, you know, you get one of those itchy things going on in your throat and you're starting to cough, and here comes a deer that you're wanting to put in your freezer. Carry a deer grunt call. These stuff sometimes work, sometimes don't. It's just kind of, you know, something that sometimes you use. Do you need it? No, but I'll use it. A doe bleat. Sometimes deer are curious to the sounds. Sometimes they just ignore it. Sometimes they'll go the other way. And that's a rattling bag that is really supposed to mimic the sound of 2 males sparring. They're in the breeding season, right around that time they do it. So just things that I carry. That's an umbrella that if it is going to drizzle, I can take this out, I can put it behind the tree, and I can have an umbrella over me just to kind of keep the heavy rain off if you need it. And of course this, even though I didn't show it initially, that's a belt. It's one of those military type belts, easy on and off, keep your pants up. That pretty much is all the equipment that I carry on a typical hunt. Obviously, again, if the weather's warm, Don't need a lot of that. Something really light, or some of those things, again, not needed, but nice for an all day in the stand. Folks, be safe out there, respect other hunters, and have a great hunting season.